of horse poo, and the optimist dives into the pile and he says, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think when you're caring for somebody, we've always got to look for the ponies somewhere. And my mum, after 5 years of Alzheimer's, gave me so many ponies. The most wonderful one I want to pass on to you, and I've written it on the banner. She taught me it's always the first time. Because for my mum it was, because she could only remember for 5 seconds. You know, we had her all dressed up like a fairy queen a couple of years ago. Before she died, she came to my older son's wedding, to Michelle. And she looked down at herself and she said, oh, why am I all dressed up? And I said, oh, Mum, because Toby just married Michelle. Did he? And she'd run over and cuddle him. And then she'd say, what are all these people doing here? And I'd say, oh, I'm so glad you asked, Mum. Toby just married Michelle, isn't that wonderful? Oh, yes! And she'd run over and cuddle him. My mum had 400 times the surprises of anybody else that day. Everybody else had one surprise. That's the pony in Alzheimer's and dementia. You know, so I practice what my mum taught me, and now everything is the first time. This talk is the first one I've ever given, even though I've been a professional speaker for 18 years. You know, I'm going to come home to my husband tonight and I'm going to cook him the first time tea, with much love. You know, we change the sheets on the bed. What if it was like the first time you did it? There are Make-A-Wish families, they change the sheet beautifully because it could be the last time. For some of us, it could be the last time. You know, make love tonight for those of you with partners. It was the first time, okay? Now, if you're over 50, take it easy. Yeah. Now, the last thing you want is bad publicity, isn't it, Jen? You know, like, oh, 10 people die after the you know, there are 2 out there. The next word that I treasure is humour. In Australia, we wake up into a country where we have a wicked sense of humour. In the 1950s, we used to laugh for 18 minutes a day. Now it's down to 4. We've got to retrieve those missed laughter minutes, and when you're a carer, that's one of the first things that disappears, laughter. Professor Elizabeth Blackburn did her research on carers and has discovered that the chromosome ends, you know, fray like little shoelaces, and you age 7 to 14 years when you're stressed as a carer. So this walk is to provide opportunities to see all these support agencies, all these people who want to hold you and nurture you and grow you into your magnificence through a very difficult time. So, you know, laughter is really important. My dad was a great laugher, the little stockman, and he even had the last laugh at his funeral. We buried him in Ballarat where he lived. And after the funeral, after the eulogy that I gave, the hearse went round and round and round and round and round and round the Ballarat cemetery. My sister was in the car behind the hearse with me, and she got the giggles. And I said, what is so funny? And she said, oh God, Dad would love this. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, we've lost the plot. Sometimes, you know, when we're caring, we lose the plot, don't we? You know, my mum was next door and there was this beautiful woman, Audrey. Audrey died last year, and at her funeral, her son said, I'd like to thank the staff of Freemasons for taking my mum to all the Anzac Day celebrations, to the 11th of the 11 celebrations, because I know Mum had told you that she was one of those nurses in Singapore that was rescued at the Second World War. He said, I'm here to tell you, no, she wasn't. And I'd say to my mum, Mum, stop telling that story that you're a Singaporean nurse. And she said, oh, darling, I'm in a nursing home. I can be anybody I want to be. It's lovely. So the other word I love is passion. My mum had 15 hairdressing salons, 2 boarding houses, 4 restaurants. She did houses up and sold them. She was Australia's first female real estate agency manager in 1962. My mum got a permit at 75 years of age to do people's hair in their home. Old people. She went to a lady who was 98, who did ballroom dancing, as you do when you're 98. Mum took her flowers and chocolates and made her feel beautiful, because Mum wanted to be a nurse, but she wasn't allowed to train as a nurse, so she healed people through hairdressing. And as she left, she said to this lady, now you be careful. And the old lady said, oh, I don't have to be careful, Mary. I'm on the bill. Now that's passion, right? And optimism and hope. The lovely carers, I want to acknowledge the people who took care of Mum. It took 3 of them to toilet her towards the end. Mum had a fall and broke her hip, and I had to make the hardest choice where I had to sign a damn piece of paper saying to put a strap around my mum to hold her into the chair. It's a very hard form to fill in as a daughter. And Mum forgot that she wasn't allowed to move, so she kept trying to get out of the chair, so we had to strap her in. The diversional care people gave Mum a doll, a baby, that was so realistic My mum would hold that baby all day, and she would kiss it, and she would stroke its hair, and she would talk to it. And my sister and I got to see how my mum nursed us as little children. So special. In Make-A-Wish, we had a little boy in Western Australia who wished to go fishing from a boat. Our volunteers said it wouldn't be much fun if he didn't catch anything, so we had a diver under the boat with a bag of fresh fish, okay? So every time he threw the line, the diver swam over and he's pulling them off the fish. I want to acknowledge everybody in this park and all the organisers, because you guys are the divers under the boat. Your little arms and legs are going 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you're the one putting a fish on the end of the line for somebody. Whether you're a carer or somebody who's in a support organisation, we have people here with early onset dementia. Can I honour Jen? Yeah, I want to honour Jen. We have people in this audience here who've got early dementia. We don't talk enough about this, and we need to support people like that. So turn to the person next to you, shake their hand and give them a big cuddle or a hug and a kiss and say, you are extraordinary simply because